We've all seen the then and now pictures of Hollywood stars, but the real story is rarely told. We're going beyond the photos to uncover the shocking reasons for these transformations, from brutal boxing injuries to infamous botched procedures that changed faces forever. First, we have to talk about a star who defined an entire era. In the 1990s, Demi Moore wasn't just an actress, she was an icon and one of the highest paid stars in Hollywood. With blockbuster films like Ghost, A Few Good Men, and Indecent Proposal, her face was one of the most recognizable on the planet. She was known for a very natural, girl-next-door beauty that felt both aspirational and achievable. After her peak years of fame, she took a considerable step back from the constant public spotlight to focus on her family, making her appearances rarer and more impactful. This set the stage for one of the most talked-about comebacks in recent memory. In January 2021, Demi Moore made a surprise appearance opening the Fendi Spring-Summer fashion show in Paris. But as she walked the runway, the internet didn't just notice her return, they were stunned by her face. Her cheekbones looked incredibly sharp and hollowed out, creating a dramatically different facial structure from the one audiences had known for decades. The reaction was instant and overwhelming. Within minutes, social media was flooded with screenshots and questions, all asking the same thing. What happened to Demi Moore's face? The online world exploded with theories, from buccal fat removal, a procedure that thins the cheeks, to fillers, or even a more serious surgery that had settled in an unusual way. The debate was fierce because the look was so specific and jarring, and many people still argue about what the real cause was, as it seemed to vanish in her later appearances. It became a viral moment that went far beyond fashion news, sparking a huge conversation about celebrity plastic surgery and the pressure to look a certain way when returning to the public eye. Just a few weeks later, Demi addressed the situation herself. She explained that the dramatic look had nothing to do with surgery at all. She said it was simply the result of extreme runway makeup, applied by a very talented artist. While some people accepted her explanation, many others remained skeptical, pointing out how difficult it would be to create such a sculpted, almost sunken-in look with cosmetics alone. Whether it was makeup or something more, the Fendi show marked a massive shift in the public's perception of her. Since that moment, Demi has continued to embrace a bold new era. Her recent red carpet looks and magazine covers show a complete style reinvention, with daring outfits and a confident attitude that keeps people talking. Her transformation is a perfect example of how a single, shocking appearance can completely redefine a star's image, leaving the public to wonder what's real and what's just part of the show. While Demi Moore's transformation felt like a sudden shock on a single night, our next star's change was a slow burn that unfolded over years, leaving audiences completely divided. We're talking about the one and only America's sweetheart, Meg Ryan. Throughout the late 80s and 90s, she was the undisputed queen of romantic comedies. In films like When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, and You've Got Mail, she wasn't just playing a character, she was a personality. Her bubbly charm, quirky mannerisms, and the adorable girl-next-door look made her one of the most beloved actresses in the world. People didn't just like her movies, they felt like they knew her. Then, in the early 2000s, things began to change. As Meg Ryan started appearing at events and in the few films she was still making, audiences noticed a gradual but undeniable shift in her appearance. Her lips appeared significantly fuller, her cheeks seemed more pronounced, and her face took on a taut quality that felt completely different from the soft, natural look that had made her famous. The change wasn't just a minor tweak. It had fundamentally altered the face that millions of people had come to adore. This wasn't a celebrity subtly aging to many. It looked like a direct attempt to fight it with cosmetic procedures that went too far. The public reaction was unlike almost anything seen before. It wasn't just criticism, it was a strange mix of confusion and even sadness. The media was brutal, running endless side-by-side photos and speculating on what work she'd had done, from lip implants to cheek fillers and Botox. Because she was America's sweetheart, the public felt an ownership over her image, and many felt that the Meg Ryan they loved had somehow vanished. Her new look was so polarizing that it's still debated today. Many argue that the intense and often cruel media focus on her face was deeply unfair, while others felt her choices were simply unflattering. This constant, unforgiving scrutiny had a massive impact on her career. The romantic comedy offers began to dry up, and Meg Ryan slowly retreated from the Hollywood spotlight she had once dominated. She later spoke about that time, not to confirm or deny any procedures, but to talk about the feeling of being judged and labeled. She explained that she felt she was being put in a box, and that the harsh attention was something she needed to escape from to live a more authentic life. Today, Meg Ryan has shifted her focus to directing and raising her family, largely leaving her acting career behind. Her story remains one of the most powerful examples of the impossible standards set for female stars, especially those who build a brand on being natural. She became a cautionary tale about how a beloved public image can be shattered when an actress dares to change, showing that for America's sweetheart, aging on your own terms is sometimes not an option the public is willing to accept. Remaining count total estimated 258, generated 100, remaining 158. If Meg Ryan's transformation was a slow fade that happened over years, our next actress experienced a full-blown media explosion after a single night. This is the story of Renee Zellweger and the red carpet appearance that made the entire world ask, is that even her? Renee was a Hollywood darling, famous for roles in films like Jerry Maguire and for winning an Oscar for Cold Mountain. But she was most beloved for playing Bridget Jones, a character she famously gained over 20 pounds for, not once, but twice. The public admired her for being an actress who was willing to physically transform for her craft. But the transformation everyone would talk about wasn't for a role. In October 2014, she attended the Elle Women in Hollywood Awards. When photos from the event hit the internet, there was mass confusion. The woman in the pictures looked so different from the Renee Zellweger, everyone knew that some news outlets didn't even recognize her at first. Her signature features, puffy cheeks and squinted eyes, seemed to have been replaced by a much thinner face and wider eyes. The word unrecognizable was used in nearly every headline, and the internet went into a complete meltdown. The story became a massive cultural moment. It was more than just gossip. It became a debate about beauty standards, identity, and aging in the public eye. The incident forced many to ask a hard question. Does the public have a right to demand that celebrities look the same forever, especially when they praise them for changing for movie roles? The conversation was intense, and Renee found herself at the center of a storm she never asked for. At first, she stayed quiet. But as the speculation refused to die down, she released a statement that was praised for its dignity and intelligence. Instead of talking about surgery, she talked about her life. She said, "I'm glad folks think I look different. I'm living a different, happy, more fulfilling life, and I'm thrilled that perhaps it shows." She brilliantly shifted the conversation from what she might have done to her face to how she was feeling in her soul. It was a powerful way of taking back control. 2 years later, she addressed the issue again in a powerful essay, calling out the media for its endless speculation and the cruel nature of the news cycle. Renee Zellweger's story is a landmark case in celebrity transformations. She faced an unprecedented level of public scrutiny, but handled it with a grace that ultimately exposed the often toxic relationship between the media and female stars. She didn't just change her look, she changed the conversation. While the transformations we've seen so far are tied to the pressures of Hollywood beauty, our next star's story is written in bruises and broken bones. Mickey Rourke's face didn't change because he was chasing youth. It changed because he walked away from acting and stepped into a professional boxing ring. In the 1980s, Rourke was on top of the world. He was a magnetic, talented actor and a genuine heartthrob in films like 912 Weeks and Angel Heart, often compared to legends like James Dean for his rebellious good looks and intense screen presence. He had everything a movie star could want: fame, critical acclaim, and a legion of fans. Then in 1991, he did the unthinkable. He quit Hollywood to become a professional boxer. This wasn't a publicity stunt or a brief dalliance. It was a serious, full-time commitment to one of the most brutal sports in the world. For the next several years, he fought in bouts across the globe, and the physical cost was immense. His famously handsome face was treated like a punching bag. During his short but punishing career, he reportedly suffered a broken nose 5 times, a broken cheekbone, a broken toe, cracked ribs, and a split tongue. The damage was severe, permanently altering the bone and cartilage structure of his face. When he eventually retired from boxing and attempted to return to acting, he needed surgery to repair the damage. This is where his transformation story takes another tragic turn. As Rourke himself has openly admitted, in his attempt to put his face back together, he went to the wrong guy. He underwent several reconstructive procedures, but instead of restoring his old features, the surgeries created a completely new and, for many, unrecognizable face. His features became thicker, his face looked swollen and asymmetrical, and the delicate bone structure that had made him a star was gone forever. He was left with what he called a mess. For years, Mickey Rourke became more known for his altered appearance than his acting, taking on small roles that often played on his tough guy image. It seemed his days as a leading man were long over, but then came 2008's The Wrestler. In a role that mirrored his own life, he played a broken-down professional wrestler long past his prime, struggling with his health and scarred by his past. I remember watching that film and thinking, you couldn't have cast anyone else. His real-life pain was right there on screen. And it was one of the most honest and powerful performances I've ever seen. The role earned him an Academy Award nomination and brought him back into the Hollywood spotlight. His face was no longer just a topic of shocking headlines, it was a symbol of his incredible, painful, and resilient journey. Mickey Rourke's transformation is perhaps the most dramatic in Hollywood history, not because of vanity or a desire to look young, but because his face is a literal roadmap of a life lived on the absolute edge. Mickey Rourke's surgeries were a desperate attempt to fix a face broken by boxing. But for our next legend, plastic surgery wasn't a last resort, it was a philosophy. Long before it was openly discussed, the iconic comedian Joan Rivers was an unapologetic pioneer of cosmetic procedures. Famous for her razor-sharp wit and her famous catchphrase, "Can we talk?" Joan built a career on being brutally honest, and that honesty extended to her appearance. In an era when stars would deny any work and credit their ageless looks to good genes and drinking water, Joan was a revolutionary. She not only admitted to her surgeries, she joked about them constantly in her stand-up routines. To her, getting a facelift or Botox was no different than getting your hair colored. It was simply maintenance required to survive in the youth-obsessed world of show business. She famously said that she wanted her body to be donated to Tupperware, a perfect example of how she used humor to own her choices. Joan's honesty was groundbreaking, but her results were controversial. She reportedly underwent hundreds of cosmetic tweaks over 5 decades, from her first eye lift in the 1960s to multiple facelifts, nose jobs, and endless injections. This raises a fascinating question. Is it better for a star to be completely open about having a lot of work done, or to deny it and pretend their look is natural? The public remains deeply divided on this even today. As she got older, her appearance became a central part of her public image, and not always in a good way. Her face grew increasingly tight and pulled, creating a mask-like look that many found jarring. She became the media's #1 example of plastic surgery addiction, a living cautionary tale about the dangers of chasing youth too far. Even she joked that she was one procedure away from her ears meeting behind her head. But her legacy is complicated. While her face became a punchline, her radical honesty shattered the stigma around cosmetic surgery in Hollywood. She made it okay to talk about it, paving the way for the more open conversations we hear from celebrities today. Joan Rivers was both a pioneer and a warning, a woman who refused to grow old gracefully and instead chose to fight aging with a scalpel and a microphone, changing Hollywood forever in the process. While Joan Rivers used surgery to try and stop the clock, our next icon used it as just one tool in her kit for turning back time itself. For the legendary Cher, changing her look wasn't just about fighting aging. It was about total artistic reinvention, over and over again. For more than 6 decades, she has been a titan of music, television, and film, and the one constant in her career has been her ability to completely transform her image to fit the times. From the hippie folk singer of the 60s, to the queen of 70s variety show glamour, to the leather-clad rock star of the 80s, Cher has never been afraid to change. And just like she changed her music and her costumes, she changed her face. Like Joan Rivers, she has been refreshingly open about her choices. She was one of the first major stars to admit to having a nose job, a breast enhancement, and a facelift. Her attitude has always been unapologetically defiant. In a famous interview, she put it perfectly, "If I want to put my tits on my back, they're mine, so I'll do it." For Cher, plastic surgery wasn't a shameful secret. It was an extension of her artistry. It was another way to build the larger-than-life persona of Cher. When she wanted to become a rock star in the 80s, her look became edgier. When she made her massive comeback in the late 90s with the dance anthem Believe, her look was that of a timeless pop goddess. The procedures helped her craft the physical image that matched her musical era. But unlike many other stars, Cher's story is rarely framed as a cautionary tale. Instead, she is often seen as a wild success. While other celebrities were criticized for looking done or unnatural, Cher somehow managed to use cosmetic surgery to create a seemingly ageless version of herself. She never tried to look like a different person. She just looked like a preserved, timeless version of Cher. Her journey shows the power of owning your narrative. Because she was always the master of her own reinvention, the public saw her surgical procedures not as a sign of weakness or vanity, but as a symbol of her strength and control. She wasn't just getting older, she was evolving, and her face was simply evolving with her. Cher's transformations were about crafting a pop culture persona, but our next star's changes were carved out by a career of playing tough guys. Like Mickey Rourke, Sylvester Stallone's face tells a story of real physical punishment, but his story starts right at the moment of his birth. Many people assume Stallone's signature slurred speech and the slight droop on one side of his face are a tough guy act he developed for his characters. The truth is, it's the result of an accident. During his delivery, forceps accidentally severed a nerve in his face, causing partial paralysis in his lips, tongue, and chin. The iconic look that defined Rocky and Rambo wasn't a choice. It was something he was born with. That signature look became the face of one of the biggest action stars in history. For decades, Stallone was famous for his incredible physical commitment to his roles. He didn't just act like a boxer or a soldier, he transformed his body. And more importantly, he did many of his own dangerous stunts. While this made his films feel incredibly real, it came at a brutal physical cost. His career has been a long list of serious injuries, almost all of which required surgery. He has broken his neck and had a metal plate inserted while filming The Expendables. He suffered a serious back injury, broken ribs and damaged shoulders, leading to multiple operations over the years. During the filming of Rocky IV, he was hit so hard in the chest by Dolph Lundgren that his heart swelled, and he had to be flown to intensive care. His body, and by extension his face, has been subjected to a lifetime of punishment that goes far beyond what most actors ever experience. Many of his surgeries weren't about looking younger, they were about putting him back together so he could keep working. However, his story is complex. Alongside these medically necessary operations, it's widely believed that Stallone has also undergone cosmetic procedures to maintain his chiseled, leading man looks. Observers point to a lifted brow, a more defined jawline, and an unnaturally smooth forehead as evidence that he's had work done to fight the effects of aging, just like many of his Hollywood peers. This is what makes Stallone's transformation so unique. His face is a complicated map of his entire life. It was shaped first by an accident at birth, then battered by a physically demanding career, and then allegedly sculpted by surgeons to keep him on the A-list. It's a mix of fate, professional sacrifice, and the classic Hollywood pressure to never grow old. Sylvester Stallone's face is a clear roadmap of medical procedures, both necessary and alleged. But our next star claims her timeless look has nothing to do with a surgeon's knife at all. We're talking about the eternally glamorous Dame Joan Collins, whose story is one of Hollywood's most fascinating mysteries. As the iconic and villainous Alexis Carrington on the 80s super soap Dynasty, Joan Collins became a global symbol of power, wealth, and ageless beauty. Decades later, now in her 90s, she still looks remarkably, almost impossibly glamorous and preserved. She has maintained her signature look for half a century, seemingly defying the normal aging process. But when asked about her secret, her answer shocks everyone. Joan Collins has always insisted that she has never had any cosmetic surgery. She is adamant on this point. She credits her youthful appearance to a lifetime of disciplined skincare, a healthy diet, avoiding the sun on her face, and what she calls good genes. She has admitted that she tried Botox once on her forehead, hated the painful experience, and swore she would never do it again. But facelifts, eye lifts, or any other surgical procedures? She says absolutely not. This claim is met with widespread skepticism. In a world where it feels like every celebrity has had some kind of tweak, many people in the public and media find it incredibly hard to believe that her look is completely natural. This has turned her into a walking debate. Is she a testament to the power of old-fashioned self-care, or is she simply hiding the truth better than anyone else in Hollywood? Whether you believe her or not, her story adds a fascinating twist to the transformation conversation. She forces us to ask, is it possible to look that good without help? Or has our culture become so cynical that we can no longer accept the idea of natural aging? Joan Collins keeps her secrets, and that mystery is precisely what keeps her a timeless icon. While Joan Collins insists her look is all natural, our next legend has taken the opposite path: radical honesty. Jane Fonda has not only admitted to her plastic surgery, but she's also spoken openly about her regrets, creating a powerful and evolved conversation about aging in Hollywood. Fonda has always been more than just an actress. She's a two-time Academy Award winner, a fearless political activist, and the fitness guru who defined the 1980s with her revolutionary workout videos. She built an empire on the idea of strength, health, and female empowerment. However, behind this powerful image, she felt the immense pressure of Hollywood's beauty standards. For years, she was a quiet participant in the fight against aging, admitting that she had work done on her eyes, her chin, and had a facelift. In her own words, she felt she wasn't brave enough to embrace her aging face. She candidly revealed that she grew tired of waking up and seeing bags under her eyes, and she turned to surgery to feel better about herself. It was a choice born from the insecurity that even a powerful icon can feel in an industry obsessed with youth. But then Jane Fonda's story took a profound turn. In 2020, she declared that she was done with plastic surgery for good. At the age of 82, she said, "I'm not going to cut myself up anymore." Her regret wasn't necessarily about the procedures themselves, but about the feeling that she had to do them in the first place. She felt that her reliance on surgery was a betrayal of her own values. She began to speak about wanting the outside to match the inside, and she no longer wanted to present a surgically perfected face to the world when she was trying to be a voice for authenticity. Jane Fonda's journey from surgical patient to regretful activist is incredibly powerful. It makes you think, what does it truly mean to age gracefully? Is it about maintaining a youthful look through any means necessary, or is it about the courage to accept the natural process? It's a question everyone has to answer for themselves. Today, Fonda is a celebrated champion for aging with vitality. Through her work, like the hit show Grace and Frankie, she explores the realities of getting older with humor and honesty. She proves that vitality isn't about having a wrinkle-free face, it's about staying engaged, staying active, and staying passionate about life. Her story is one of the most inspiring in Hollywood, showing a woman who not only transformed her face but also transformed her entire philosophy on life. Jane Fonda's journey was a conscious choice to stop surgery and embrace her age. But for our final star, that choice was tragically taken away from her. Priscilla Presley's transformation is not a story of regret or vanity. It's a shocking cautionary tale about misplaced trust and a procedure that went horribly wrong. As the wife of Elvis Presley, Priscilla was a global icon of 1960s beauty, known for her flawless skin and stunning features. She was, and remains, a symbol of timeless glamour. In the early 2000s, seeking to maintain her youthful appearance, she went to a cosmetic specialist who was popular among Hollywood's elite. The man, Dr. Daniel Serrano, was known for his supposed miracle injections that promised to smooth wrinkles and restore a youthful glow. Priscilla, along with many other high-profile women, received these injections in her cheeks, but the miracle was a monstrous scam. Serrano was not a licensed doctor, and the substance he was injecting into his clients' faces was not a medical-grade filler. It was a low-grade, industrial silicone, the kind used to lubricate auto parts. He had smuggled it into the country and was passing it off as a revolutionary new product. The results were devastating. The toxic substance caused lumps, indentations, and even paralysis in the faces of his victims. Priscilla's face was permanently damaged. Her story is one that my friends in the entertainment industry still talk about. It sent a shockwave through Hollywood because it proved that no matter how famous or wealthy you are, you can still fall victim to someone promising a miracle cure for aging. Serrano was eventually arrested and imprisoned, but the damage was done. Priscilla has since had to undergo multiple painful and expensive corrective procedures to try and repair the harm, but the effects of the botched injections are still visible today. Her story serves as the ultimate cautionary tale about the dark and unregulated corners of the beauty industry and the terrifying price of trusting the wrong person. And so, the next time you scroll past a shocking then and now photo of a star, you'll know the real story is never that simple. It's a complex tale of brutal injuries, personal choice, deep regrets, and the intense pressure of a life lived in the spotlight. That was the reality behind these Hollywood transformations. Please do share this with someone who's interested in the truth behind the glamour, and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the headlines.